Right now, Senator Ted Cruz is on with us. Ted was with me in Washington, D.C., where I was with the senator at the CUFI meeting last week, and it was an amazing event. And he spoke and was great. Christians United for Israel. And when he walked in, he looked a little haggard, a little tired, and he had been spending the day fighting with the Republicans, fighting with the people who are supposed to be on our side. But apparently there is no our side. It's the crazy libertarians like Rand Paul and Ted Cruz that are going to destroy the country, according to the progressives of both the right and the left. And I say, good. If freedom destroys this country, then I don't even know what this country stands for anymore, because it used to stand for freedom. Senator, how are you, sir?
Glenn, it's great to be with you. You know, I have to say, listening to your previous segment, it strikes me that those bankers in Ohio would fit right in Congress, because the attitude in Congress is we can come in, take everything in your home, sell it, and then expect you to apologize for the inconvenience of us robbing you blind.
Can I tell you something, Senator? I think that this story, this local story, when a local bank doesn't care at all about what's happening to them in the community and the image that they're getting, when they think they can get away with this, it is deep inside of the culture. It is the same as the president saying, you know what, these made up scandals, when he's already apologized for those, quote, made up scandals.
Yeah, well,
it's amazing what people think they can get away with now.
At the end of the day, those in power want to hold on to power, and they have a sense of smug entitlement that they think all of the rest of us work for them, and they know better, and they can make the decisions in our lives far better than we can.
So let's go to a place where most people, anybody in the media will say we never go to, and that is to take on the Republicans themselves. The smugness of the Republicans thinking that they can just pass some bogus resolution in Congress saying we are so against the government health care, but then they'll fund government health care. Isn't that the same kind of smugness?
I've been astonished at how many Republicans in Washington want a fig leaf. They want a vote that they can say, look, see, I did the right thing, but they don't actually want to succeed. And, we've got a moment of redemption, I think, that is possible for some Republicans, where we actually can successfully defund Obamacare. And we've got 63 days to do it. And the reason is the continuing resolution, which funds the federal government, expires on September 30th. And I have publicly said, along with Senator Mike Lee and Marco Rubio and a number of others, that under no circumstances will I vote for a continuing resolution that funds even one single penny of Obamacare. If we can get 41 Republicans in the Senate or 218 Republicans in the House to stand up and stand for principle and say, no, we will not fund Obamacare, we can shut it down in 63 days.
Okay, I want you to call your senator. The switchboard of the Capitol is 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. Call the Capitol now and tell them enough is enough. You do not fund universal health care. Do not fund it through the continuing resolution. To join Senator Cruz and others in the Republican Party. But I want you to know the Republicans are not for this. In fact, if I may ask you what happened, Senator Cornyn was part of your cabal, and he has now dropped out, and he's decided to side with the big government Republicans. Why? What happened?
Well, I'll let other senators speak for themselves. I'm not going to put words in anyone's mouth. What I can tell you is there are a lot of Republicans in Washington who are scared. They're scared of being beaten up politically, because the way this will play out is the House of Representatives, I believe, should start by passing a continuing resolution that funds the entire federal government except for Obamacare, and that explicitly prohibits funding Obamacare. The next step, we've seen this play before, is that Harry Reid and President Obama will scream at the top of their lungs, the evil, mean, nasty Republicans are trying to shut down the federal government. And that's when we need to respond and say no. We need to stand together and say no. We have voted to fund the federal government. We want to keep the federal government open. Why is President Obama threatening and trying to shut down the federal government in order to force Obamacare down the people's throats, particularly when it isn't working, when its lead Senate author, Democrat Max Baucus, called it a huge train wreck, when Obama himself has given waivers to major corporations? Why don't the American people get the same waivers he's willing to give huge companies? If we stand together, that's how we win this fight. But right now, at this instant, we don't have enough Republicans standing together. We got 63 days to do that. And the only way to get those votes, to get Republicans to stand up, is for what you just said, Glenn, for the American people, for the grassroots to stand up. We've launched a national website, don'tfundit.com, don'tfundit.com. We're getting people from all over the country to sign a national petition saying, do not spend one more penny funding Obamacare. And people need to call, as you just said, their senators and their House members and say, do not fund Obamacare, stand for principle, and do it now.
What are the odds of this? What are the chances that this actually happens, Ted? I mean, how the cabal that you're going up against, I think Americans are so done. I shouldn't say Americans. I think that the Republican base, except for those weasels that are really progressive Republicans, so sickened by what the Republicans really are, because we've just figured it out, what they really are, that they're not. If I'm in my car or my truck, I'm thinking to myself, why am I going to call? It's not going to make a damn bit of difference anyway. They're all weasels. So what are the chances of this?
Well, it depends. If we use the traditional political model, the chances are zero. If we have to depend on elected politicians, listen, I can't win this fight. Mike Lee can't win this fight. Marco Rubio can't win this fight. No politician in Washington can win this fight, because if it's just going to be arguments in the Senate cloakroom, the votes are against us. The only way we can win this fight is to change the paradigm, change the terrain. If we see thousands or millions of Americans rise up, pick up the phone, send emails, and just rain down upon our elected officials, the one principle that is true, I think liberty is never safer than when politicians are terrified. And if the American people stand up with such overwhelming numbers that it becomes riskier to do the wrong thing than it is to do the right thing, that's how we win this fight. And so every day for the next 63 days, what I'm going to be spending my time doing is urging the American people to do that, to stand up and take our government back, urge these elected officials that give speech after speech about Obamacare to actually put action where their words are and not vote to fund it.
Okay. May I say something that you will probably regret coming on the program, and you'll be like, why do I even come on this program? You've mentioned a name twice already, and quite honestly, to me, it hurts the cause, because I'm not even sure I trust this guy anymore. I'm willing to stand by anybody who will find themselves. However, by using Marco Rubio's name as a guy who is championing this, I don't trust this guy, because I think this guy has gotten into bed with some of the progressive Republicans himself.
Glenn, I understand your frustration. As you know, I disagreed vociferously with Rubio on the Gang of Eight immigration bill. I think that bill is a damaging bill. I think it would make the problem worse, and I worked hard to help lead the efforts to stop it and to push instead for real immigration reform that would actually secure the borders and stop illegal immigration, put enforcement first, and would improve legal immigration. So on the substance of that bill, you and I see eye to eye. I can tell you on the fight to defund Obamacare that Marco has been with us from the beginning, and I'm grateful for his support. I think he is, when he's fighting with you, he is a very effective ally, and I am grateful to have his support on this.
Okay, well, I'm not going to push you in a corner anymore. I will tell you that some of my breaking points: immigration, health care, spending, and the Constitution. You get one of those wrong, I hope that the people of Florida punish Marco Rubio by sending him home. And if he wants to come back for another term some other time when he finds himself, that's great. But anyway, I would urge you to. This isn't about Marco Rubio, and I would urge you to call 202-224-3121. I will tell you that I do believe this is the line in the sand. If we don't do it this time, it's over. If you don't defund this, the Constitution, speak to the constitutionality of what the president is doing on picking and choosing what laws to enforce. This is really important in America.
It's utterly lawless. The Constitution gives the president the responsibility to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. This president has over and over again ignored that responsibility. We saw just a few weeks ago where he unilaterally did two things. Number one, he said for large corporations, companies over 50 employees, he was delaying the employer mandate until after the election. Now that has two very important admissions in it. Number one, if Obamacare were a good thing, Glenn, he would want it to kick in before the next election. He would want the employer mandate to happen. It's an admission that the wheels are coming off, and they are scared about electoral accountability. If people see what happens, they're going to throw the bums out. But secondly, I mean, what an interesting and revealing statement that he's willing to give a waiver to every giant corporation in this country, but not to hardworking American families. This is why people are so cynical with Washington. Why do the powerful corporations get a benefit that we the people don't? And secondly, at the same time he did that unilaterally, he also unilaterally said, we're not going to enforce the eligibility requirements for the subsidy. So we're going to encourage liar loans. Just go and say, yes, I qualify for a subsidy, and the government's not going to check. We're going to encourage fraud because they want to get as many Americans as possible addicted to the sugar, getting those subsidies, receiving the money, because that's their one hope to metastasize Obamacare into a permanent malignancy on this country, is to get people addicted to it. And that's why we got to stop it now. That kicks in on January 1. This is our last and best chance, I'm convinced, to stop it, which is why it all depends not on any politician, but on the American people rising up in a way we've never seen before. That's what's got to happen. It's why I would urge every one of your listeners, number one, go to don'tfundit.com, sign up, and get 10 of your friends to do the same. And every one of you call your senators and your elected representatives and say, stand up now and defend the Constitution.
Okay. Senator, thanks a lot. Appreciate the good fight, and we'll talk again.
Thank you, Glenn, for everything you do.
You bet. Don'tfundit.com or call 202-224-3121 and do it now. Sponsor this half hour is Goldline. We're looking at a new Fed chief, and this good news is the one replacing Bernanke, the front runner, is from the University of Berkeley. The University of California at Berkeley. She's going to. Yeah, she went to the London School of Economics, so she's going to be.
Isn't that the George Soros place?
Yeah. No, it's going to be good stuff. Yeah, it's going to be. Don't worry about your dollar. They're totally fine. Totally fine.